Ladies and gentlemen, we just had the first day of best of threes. Absolutely beautiful. Before we continue, let me advertise the fact that you can get your personalized video on mycameo.com, and you can get a, make a message to your mom who has a birthday, or your friend of yours that is hinting you on solo queue. I can flame for you, anything that you can think of. Together, we can make a moment in life special together. Let's jump into the games. Usually we do rundowns for those who are new to the channel. Did you guys know that only 13% of my viewers are subscribed? So smash that button if that's something that you're interested in. If not, that's okay too. I'm just happy that you're here. XL vs Mad Lions, game number 1. XL. I have to give them props. Because I had this conversation with Dom and of course Kadrul. I think that XL is showing all of the hallmarks of a team that has been coached very well. I think that they have had really good meta reads. I think that's what carried them through the first round, and also now their landing after the patch changes has been great. It seems like that they have the right amount of leadership within that team and a cohesiveness to bring out the best in players that I didn't, think too much of. I have to say, XL series today, I think that Limit was phenomenal on the Rel. Like Limit, the best version of Limit that we've seen is the guy who, of course, plays those engaged champions, and he was really that guy today. Patrick continuing his streak of very solid performances with the Kaiser, with the Aphelios too, was super good to see. And then the additional, the cherry on top, Odoamne as solid as ever on, of course, the Rumble. Does anyone know if they changed coaching between Spring and Summer? I believe they added Cass at some point, who was at the 100 Thieves. But it's Hedon that they changed after they removed Young Buck and Nelson. In this first game, XL banned Vi, Ivan, LeBlanc. You still, even though Vi got nerfed on 13-13, I think it's a good opening ban into Mad Lions specifically because a lot of the combos that they play are very Vi reliant, right? So Vi is something that opens up a lot of room for Mad Lions. Mad Lions choose to ban Maokai, Tristana, Renekton. I thought the moment this happens, I thought they're going to look for K'Sante. I thought that was the whole purpose of this draft, right? I thought they're going to look for K'Sante. I thought also, additionally here, whenever we see Kaiser being opened up in draft, either Rel is removed and you look for Zyrakan, or you just remove Rel and play it into Kaiser because she's going to be paired together with the melee support. So you already have a very strong champion. But XL managed to get what in a lot of cases I would consider very like Exodia-esque on this patch. You have Kaiser, Rel, Rumble. I think Rumble top is insanely strong and I hope to see more of it. I think it's super strong. Rumble top is juicy. And this is just from what I said before, like XL in terms of their prep on this patch. Absolutely beautiful. Jace, Rakan, Zaya into Kaiser I think is perfectly doable and acceptable. But I think the conversion here into the 4-5 is where I would hope, like if you go for the Jace when Maokai is out, I thought the idea here that you just send Jace into Rumble and then you pick a mid laner on 5 if you're not picking K'Sante on 4. And then all of a sudden you can play it, right? It's like, sure, they're 80 heavy, the enemy team can't buy too much armor, but I thought that there is some improvement to be made in terms of what Mad Lions have as an identity. I don't see Chasey as an own player. I don't see that him as an own player at all. And this is what was so absurd to me when I look at what Mad Lions have put together here. I thought they're going to send Jason to Rumble, and then they would continue with picking a maybe mid laner into Ahri, and then just play the game from that point onward, like in my mind, I think there was a little bit of room to improve. They will go for Lee Sin Ahri, which I thought was inherently dangerous, right? Because Lee Sin Ahri, when I think of XL, I don't think that they are the best at executing in the 2v2. But in some of the skirmishes that played out, I do have to say that XL's composition is very strong at that 6, 7, 8, right? And those timings in the game where you play second Drake, first Herald, definitely there's a lot of room, you know, to gain value with these champions, and also you can pressure Jace on the mid lane, right? Nevertheless, looking at the game, I think the crucial detail of this game was, I think that Niski overplayed his hand a couple of times. He burned flash, lost sums. I think this was pretty crucial. I think that there was no punishment on him though. He managed to be clear of that and everything was fine and dandy. We continue. Ban Rek'Sai. They banned Rek'Sai because they were preparing the Lee. It's like picking Rek'Sai on 5 into Lee could definitely be like a thing. But that's why the only reason they went for the Rek'Sai ban, because it's something Eluya played. I don't think Rek'Sai is that good, but I'm assuming like they just had nothing else to ban him for 5. Alright, so they managed to sneak a kill on the Xayah with the bot gank. I'll show a quick replay of it. It was like here, this was very strange because they want to check if the enemy is doing Drake, but Peach Qs and misses. And I think just because he missed, they believe that Mad Lions is on Drake and they pulled it out. So they are face checking. Which is kind of a funny sequence, to be honest, because it's just dry misses Q. Because if you miss this Q, obviously XL is like, if they hit the Q on the Drake, they see that the Drake vision, and they are not gonna face check this because they know that they are trapping either here or here, right? So this was, he got kind of sold out by his team. Kind of funny. Now we had this extension around the first Drake, which I think was such a crucial moment in time. Mad Lions, they have a decent setup, decent position, but I think the key thing here is that Mad Lions don't recognize that XL is hard committing through bottom side here, as it's highlighted. They are actually not exiting through top side. Here I think whoever engages first is going to be in a losing position. I think the key thing here for Mad Lions is they need to take the Drake and then reposition and then re-enter bottom side the defensive way. But instead Mad Lions are pushing for the fight, and with the feather setup they are now pulling forward to go in here. And Mad Lions don't exit together. I think in a world where they exit together, they kite out together, I think it would have been better. Instead, the situation plays out in a way where Niski is isolated and they can chase on through, and Eluya usage of W and he cannot get out is quite poor. I just want to go take a step back here to see if Eluya could play it any way different, so he doesn't need to flash to hit this rel that is of course CC'd by the root of Xayah and the Rakan W. Let's just see how this plays out here. Because here the Karate is laying down the feathers, finds the E on limit, and it feels like Eluya doesn't need to flash, no? Why does he need to flash if they want to kill him? We continue. This extension here of the fight, Peach managed to, you know, honestly, Peach had the best game of the entire season for him in summer. Strong Lee Sin, you know, usually get nervous about Lee Sin games like this, you know, can Lee Sin play a good enough game to convert? Will it be something that they can, you know, win with? We continue. No, Rel doesn't flash out, by the way. Rakan W is off of Xayah root there, and it's fine. I got nervous when I saw Peach on Lee Sin in the Champions League. I'm not gonna lie, I thought, oof, this man has been playing tanks all split, but Peach seems to be growing. He seems to be finding his confidence, and he seems to be doing better and better. Like, I am a sucker for improvement stories. I think, you know, I'm super happy to see that Limit is doing so well, you know? He's looking like that SK Limit, you know? That found the flash engages in the flanks, you know? Super good. In regards to how the game extended, I think the main criticism that I had for Peach was that when you are this strong with Lee, the priority should be always to take over river first. I think that you should have farming as a secondary goal, because I think whenever the enemy team don't have control over river and they don't have the room to make plays like this, I think that you can suffocate the whole team together. Obviously here, I think Mad Lions line up for a very good play, and you can argue that XL need to play a little bit safer. But I think it's important that if Xayah Rakan stand on the wave, and you are playing right now the Kaiser, you need to wait for Lee and Ahri to take over river and then hover into bottom side. And I think this is the way that you create the most amount of pressure. But the sequence here was that Lee was taking Raptors, and he could have been on the mid wave and they can pressure through. Of course, at the same time, that would require XL to play safe on bot while the sequence is happening. But I just want to point out that during all of this, Lee was doing Raptors, when in reality he should be in river because Rakan is showing on the wave, right? But this was a very good play by Mad. They found a little trap. They found some angle here to make sure that Xayah remains very relevant in the game. This is kind of a crazy moment in the game. I like the idea here from Abadage, but his execution was very poor. They're looking to make everything crash, and Rumble managed the top wave super well. The enemy team commit all the way into top side, and they spot Rakan on bottom side. Abadage looks too pushed to dive. I think the idea is good, but the execution was obviously piss poor. Right? It's like here, you see Rakan on a ward, you see Jason bottom all on top. The enemy has only 2 people on mid. You want to pressure this as hard as possible because you have the Herald coming. This is a 4v2. But Abadage kind of plays kind of weird, and then Kazi cleanses into roots, and this was not the greatest. Here the follow-up, Peach finding a beautiful kick. Look at Peach here with the angle, you know. He finds a great entrance. Hylissang brings Peach back with the E here, and then he goes, and then he finds this 360 kick. Ooh, ooh. Look at that 360 kick, baby. 360 kick. And then the follow-up is the roastiest barbecue of all time. Boom. Woo! Damn, XL came to play today. Damn. Very beautiful. Very beautiful. And now, you know, Kaiser is a champion that through the game state will definitely get through the hurdle where she's at the weakest, you know? And then she'll begin to be super, you know, OP. The one that just sends cannonballs. It's super cool. I think Odo Amne was an absolute machine in this game. Like, already, like, we don't see too much here, but him defending the play, chunking Niski to 1 HP, allows him to rechase this. Hylissang drops to 1 HP here too. Odo Amne is pushing the enemy out completely. Like, Hylissang gets sold here. He doesn't get to E. I don't know why no one lets him E. Like, he just gets sold here on eBay. Like, this is crazy. Like, Odo Amne literally 1v3'd on the top side here. Mad Lions, I have to say. You know, for me, Mad Lions, their key players are Hylissang and Elioya. And they heavily underperformed today. Heavily underperformed. Right? I'm not so sure why Rakan goes in here. It is really troll for him to go, because all he needs to do is press E on Jace so he gets the move speed. But Hilly's my boy, Elioya, these two players heavily played so terrible today. Really bad. And additionally, it's like usually when Mad Lions is showing no vital signs, right? Then I think usually the issue is that Hilly and Elioya are not performing up to their standard, because I feel like they are the soul of the team, and also identity-wise, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Elioya looked very weak on the Poppy, and also Chaser on Ornn just seems so weird. Very strange. I don't know what the idea is there, but I wouldn't be surprised if we never see him play Ornn again. And there was some back and forth, there was some shutdowns given, so Xayah could breathe in this game. Jace also got some shutdowns, he became strong, and you know, he began to breathe well into this game. Here XL heavily overextend into the red buff area. Karzi, you know, if they said, okay, we're done here, then XL's conditions would have been beautiful in this spot. But they choose to extend and they go through this checkpoint. This choke point here, they got a little bit too overexcited based off of this, right? They're going through this choke point. They find the good Orn angle, Poppy E with the Rakan. This is a good situation. Here I was surprised at Mad Lions after they flash here for Rel that they don't extend here into a Nash situation. Even though Xayah used Flash and Cleanse, she still has R. I think that in this position they could have extended for more. Key thing here though is if Patrick was in a spot here where he got blue, maybe it would have been harder, but I think this is a situation where you want to look to squeeze more. Here I think always XL should give blue to the Kaiser, but it didn't happen. And then Karzi here just isolates himself, gets spotted on a ward, and Patrick goes in for the play. Here's that W, goes in, doesn't have the mana for the Q, and has to flash out. He needed that blue, baby. I want to see, why was Elioya out of range, or why didn't he get E'd into the wall here? I think the angle was just not good enough. He was just not close enough. Okay. So XL gets some, Niski gets some shutdowns. He's collecting some gold top because he's finishing his Cyrilda. This gives Mad Lions some fighting chances here, of course. Here it was very absurd because the enemy overpushed for Drake and they warded for it. I don't understand why Mad Lions wanted to siege further. Pay attention here to Elioya's position as they choose to siege further. Was it this moment? Maybe it happens later in the game. Sorry, it happens later in the game. Not sure what Peach was doing here, honestly. I think Peach is just griefing. Like, you don't want to push it like this. In a situation Rumble just pushed out bot, you know? Like here, you should just wait for Mad Lions' action. And then when Rumble collapses, this is where you have your room to breathe. Because the enemy is giving up that bot wave 100%, you know? And this is a 700 gold shutdown, so it's very good that they save it. But it's also good that Mad Lions don't chase through and bolster through here, because that would have been losing, of course, against Rel and Rumble. Now, this is the moment where Mad Lions choose and feel very comfortable. So the key thing for me here is that, is this moment? It isn't this moment, I lie. I'm just lying. I'm waiting for this moment, I don't know the exact time. Here it is. Okay, for the love of God. So yeah, Mad Lions, I don't know, if you want to extend this position here and do more with this position, you should go to Nash. You should go to Nash. If you want to extend this spot here and pressure, you go to Nash. Instead, they choose to walk down mid, siege mid, while XL is just hovering in this position and undermining them. And then additionally, I think Elioya just positions wrong. I think if the enemy team, like here Elioya, in a position where he's playing Poppy, if he's the one marking and holding the space together with Chasey, maybe they can do something here. But inherently, I think this is a shit decision to be in the first place. Because here, the enemy team can undermine you and find the engage on your Jace, and that's not something that you want to give. So in my mind here, if you want to pressure further, I think you take over this space completely and you start to pressure Nash. But instead here, look at Elioya's contribution in this fight. It was very, very poor. Look at Elioya, how he positions. Limit gets a free engage, you know. It's like he already hit his W on the vital target and his R on and then Q. So even though Limit is grounded here, it's a little too late. And then Lee finds the angle too, and the Rumble ult is fucking juicy as well. The Rumble of Odamne is a definitive classic. And it is very, very nice. Yeah, it's like, you know, if you want to really siege this, right, which I think is an inherent mistake, you want to have Xayah and Jace on the top side of the lane. And then you want to have Poppy and Ornn to mark for them. And then as they enter through here, you EQ with Jace and then you gate out and go through here, right? So Niski and fucking Elioya should be changing position, you know? But inherently, I think this is just a bad siege to do in the first place. Then after this, the game was over. So you'd think after a game like this, wow, okay, we're going to go over to the blue side. We're going to set up a scenario where we pretty much ban these ban like Rel, ban Rumble, denied them. Our own answer was obviously not good enough. Let's remove these champions. Limit looked his best. Oroamne looked fucking clean on the Rumble. I thought they're gonna go blue and change up their ban strategy. But instead, we have the circumstance from Mad Lions where they choose to ban Maokai. I think Maokai and Tristana are tied together, right? I think they are really, really tied together. And I think especially if you're in a situation where you move, for example, Tristana Rumble, I think that a lot of the cases where you would want to pick Maokai or Tristana for that matter, like if you ban Maokai Rumble, for example, the Tristana cases all of a sudden are out the window. I think that here, that you're in a situation where you first pick Kaiser and let the enemy go Rel Rumble again, is kind of crazy. I was thinking, okay, maybe they have something up their sleeve and they're going to look for something in particular, right? I thought here maybe they're looking for Sejuani Jace and they're gonna slam that into Rumble top, and then we have Chaseon Jace and maybe they're going to play a very explosive game. But instead, the LB gets locked in and they pick Nautilus because they don't want to drop support into the rel that is showing, because with a couple of bans, the champion that you have to blind against rel flex becomes harder to pick, and they lock Twisted Fate against LeBlanc. The SAC wasn't a fan of the Twisted Fate into LB, but I think that generally speaking, TF into LB, I think it's kind of fine. The thing is, I'm of the opinion that LeBlanc is turbo broken, so I think all answers into LB aren't super comfortable when Kaiser's out of the picture. I think that Static Shiv LeBlanc is just broken. So I think like TF is a fine champ to pick into it. You know, you're forced to buy mercs, you have some cards, you have a little bit of counterplay. You can choose not to contest neutral waves because you have pressure with your R, you know. It's okay. Especially when I saw like BDD plays and so forth, I was very excited about it. But I can also see from the point of view of TF that this matchup can be very hard into LB, right? Like she's just lane super well. Nevertheless, someone in the chat asked if they can just pick Alistar into Rel. Keep in mind this is a Rel flex, right? Rel can go jungle, and that's why you pick the super champion that is the most blindable out of the bunch, right? If you pick Alistar, the answers that the enemy can pick into you are far more extensive than you playing Rel, because keep in mind they don't know what is coming on 3 here. I thought here as well that you have the option of going Jace here on 3 and you have a very strong cohesive composition and you have some angles, but nevertheless we're going to 4-5 and XL choose to ban some of the Elioya champions in Rek'Sai and Sejuani. Braum gets banned for the sake of Nautilus and then Lee Sin after the previous game, and XL go Viego, K'Sante and Nocturne gets locked in and they pick Aphelios on 5. You know, it is weird to me if the pick ban strategy is to ban Tristana, Xayah and set up for the Kaiser and then the enemy gets Aphelios on 4-5 anyway. I feel like with this, everything being said, I think that you kind of just set yourself up for the enemy to just go in the same direction again. Like the Rel and the Rumble were a menace. Why not Jarvan for Nocturne? I think they picked just Nocturne for the sake of pressuring TF and Rumble on side. These champions should be very weak on side, and Mad Lions should be able to dominate like the side lane game in such a game. It's like if Nocturne is fogging, they have so much pressure on both Rumble and TF in this game with K'Sante and LeBlanc on the lanes, right? I personally think that Nocturne is a piece of shit champion. I think this champion doesn't have enough pressure. I think that all the ADs that are being played, they have access to Gale Force and so much burst damage as well, that you are a champion that doesn't have enough damage to be a threat and you're not tanky enough to do much. You are a cherry on top of a cake, but that cake needs to be built with 4 men. And if you turning off the lights and having a global is enough for your game, that can be fine, but there's a lot of champions that can have global pressure by just being in fog of war. So I am not a big believer of Nocturne. But I think that a lot of people have issues with what junglers they need to pick when it comes to 4-5. I think a lot of teams are going through an identity crisis when Sejuani is out, Maokai is out, Vi is out. Not a lot of teams want to play Wukong. Like, what other choices do you have here? Maybe you can play, like, you would want to play something that matches well with LeBlanc. Maybe you leave Lee open, trade Lee, Viego, or you play like Xin Zhao could be an option, right? I think these are things that you can maybe pick, right? Jarvan maybe, but Jarvan into Viego is tough to play, and you don't see enemy AD champ, right? It's like that's it. Looking at the game, XL, I have to say this is where I was so happy to see Limit play. You know, Limit in terms of how he understands space, in terms of jungle like pressure around objectives is super nice. We had a tussle around the buff, which I think that XL managed quite well. I thought they had the window to maybe invade the blue, but I don't feel like it's significant enough to actually, you know, follow up on that completely. Here we have a BF sword and Patrick has full control with purple-blue. Here I thought that it's psychopath behavior what Hilly is doing, right? He gets blue carded when Hilly potentially should just die here because it's a scarred into CC of Peach, into CC of Limit, into death, which could have been enough. Hilly-san just keeps fighting here. It gets so many chances to go out, but they just continue and continue and continue. And then eventually Hilly-san just falls here. Peach picks up, and then he's looking to extend this play by looking for Kazi. Maybe if Patrick saw what Peach wanted to do here, maybe something could have been done here to Kazi, but Peach just went sicko mode here. In a world where he's 6 and he can actually reset his champ here, this would have been a brilliant play, but he can't go out of this Nautilus. And they don't find the kill on Kazi Sose. But it was a very nice sequence here from Peach. But once again, Hilly, I don't know what the fuck he's doing here. Like, he's face shaking into try on his own. Kaiser's hovering. Nocturne is in no mood to fight at this point. He's obviously way weaker than Viego. This is a Drake that you naturally should lose in a lot of cases, in my opinion, because I think all 3 champions on the red side are just so much stronger here. So much stronger. They secure the Dredsky, which is a big one. You know, it's a mountain. They find a chunk here on Limit, which is good. Let me fast forward a little bit. LeBlanc has static Shiv, so TF will begin to bleed. I think this is a very tough situation to solve for red side, but I think the way you want to play it, because you have such a big bot gap, I think that Patrick and Limit should push, and then they should be the ones hovering towards Twisted Fate, and then they play with the Herald like this, rather than really isolating bottom side, because the issue is you can't threaten dive on Kai'Sa and Nautilus, because Nocturne is in fog, and LB will have TP up very soon. So, at the same time, TF can't really walk on the mid wave, because he's scared of Nocturne, so it's not like, I think the way you play it is Viego hovers bot, they push out bot, they hover into mid and defend TF, and then they maintain the status quo like that until Static Shiv is finished on Twisted Fate. But they commit all the way and they just go for this psycho dive. Like, this is craziness. Crazy stuff. And they get punished for it. Here I think Niski should just stay pushing. Like here, Aphelios is completely out. Niski has an opportunity to collect a lot of platings. Nocturne caught the mid wave and TF needs to base. You can send Kai'Sa into mid here, and I think that this LeBlanc should be pushing and gaining plates. Most important thing when you play this Static Shiv LeBlanc is always be pushing. Always be pushing. I call it the ABP. Always be pushing. Very important. You need to keep pushing, leverage the fact that you have a motherfucking item that one-shots waves and you have sustain. Always be pushing when the enemy has no threat on you. You buy the mercs, you have no threat on you at all, and you're going to have a great time doing serious damage to turrets. Another conversation that Jizuki has been on about for a very long time is that you should be buying Ludens after the change to Static Shiv. You need to make sure that your spells are also a threat and you do enough damage with your spells, and Ludens definitely helps that. You don't want to put all your eggs into the Static Shiv hit basket, is the idea pretty much. Have to say, Chasey found a nice solo kill on Rumble. I don't know when we passed that, but I don't want to go too far back. Now the main thing, right, is LeBlanc managed to find the push here. I think that XL, once again, you know, the main issue with how they played, I think they didn't recognize such a game state where LB is so strong, they cannot threaten the enemy bot. they need to make sure that they push bot, hover into river, and make sure that TF has room to breathe. And then they should change the matchups and make sure that they can take control of the mid again. But they were trying to pressure bot all this time when LeBlanc always has first move. And even though TF can TP in and they can do something, LeBlanc is just so much more useful than TF in a fight right now. Additionally here, something to point out is that Nocturne is top for some reason. I don't know what the fuck Nocturne is doing top. I don't know what the reason is for why Nocturne is top. I think that you just clear your own camps and that you make sure that you hover around mid. If TF ever shows on the wave, you murder him, and then that you're always there for bottom side if the enemy makes a play. Like Nocturne being here is very strange. He chases TPs in, and Rumble also TPs on the wave. He gets ulted in and he tries to flash out. And then he dies. The little static shiv auto. So the main macro mistake XL did is of course that they tried to force on bottom side when they clearly couldn't. They needed to use all of their advantage to secure mid. TF is a champion, like there's a common misconception in regards to TF where people think that, oh, TF is a champion, he's a roamer and whatever. No, TF is a scaler. TF is a very weak laner in most cases, and he doesn't have the freedom to teleport everywhere. But if you send your resources onto mid and you connect with your jungle and your support and your AD to help him because you have stronger lanes, then TF has the freedom to push. And if TF for some reason has prior because you have enough pressure, this is where you've reached Nirvana. Another key thing about TF is that he's very item reliant, you know? Item reliant, rapid fire cannon really enables him, a lot of the mythic items enable him. He's very, very item reliant, but he has of course, the passive that generates him more gold. So you just always want to be farming. Very similar to the LeBlanc that always wants to be pushing. We look at the sequence here. I think this moment in time, I think kind of highlighted in my mind. I think I went forward a little bit too far. We jumped through time here. There we go. There was a moment when Iski TP'd on mid-wave when I think he should have just walked straight to bot and just keep pushing. Like, you always want to be hitting turrets, I think, with this champion. Always play for your own tempo. Make sure that you're the one pushing, hitting. It's like this champion farms way too well, way too fast. This is a very strange sequence by Mad Lions. I don't know why the fuck they don't hard commit. Them waiting so long makes this play so bad, when in reality they can just commit and have a good time. I think they are very scared about the Rumble stopwatch, but if you're scared about the Rumble stopwatch, then don't fucking position here in the first place. If you don't think you can dive, you should never be here, because the only way out is through the turret. Because what happens here is they are too scared to dive and they don't go for it. They think that the turret is gonna fall. Like, if they commit here and just hit the turret while they are fighting, they're gonna win. But instead what happens is XL managed to delay, and then they get collapsed on here on the ward that they have. And here's the Rumble ultimate and the follow-up from XL, and Niski is isolated because he wanted to make the play under the turret. Very bad play here from Mad Lions. We continue. Aphelios now, super strong position for Drake. I think this is a moment where I think that Niski could have done a lot more. You know, LeBlanc players, it's very important that when you W forward and you hit and you fight back, that you make the enemy use tools for you. Make them chase after you. Q, hit, and then W back when they use spells, because this is how you create pressure. Here, like, why is he W back here? Why did he W back here? Why didn't he Q, E, fight until the enemy reacts? This is how you get value out of LB. It's super important. Because when you W forward, the enemy needs to pay a price to push you off, but they didn't need to pay that price to push Niski off, right? And these are details that really matter. I think also from before, right? It's like, if you look at the situation from before, I think also LB, if she wants to contest this Drake, I think she can go all the way bot and push the wave in. There is no threat on her right now, so she can create a situation that she comes from the blue. This is something that, of course, Jizuke pointed out, and I think he's very right. Because yeah, Niski is grouped. Instead, he could have been pushing this wave. There's no threat on him, right? This is such a great LeBlanc game because they have no realistic ways of getting onto him, right? As long as he plays with the information available to him. And here's the example that I mentioned, you know? He W's forward, why doesn't he QE here and play, like, play slow, you know? And play with his W a little bit more. Let his damage breathe, hit, you know? Let himself breathe here, you know? But he just goes back, you know? Here, Chasey makes such a crucial mistake. Like, Chasey just doesn't W. Like, why doesn't Chasey W here? If Chasey W's here, they win the fight. But just because he doesn't W, he just loses. Wow. Why doesn't he W? So Chasey gets killed in a chain CC where he could have just blocked the first CC and been out. And Niski could have potentially gone and played for more value here. But Excel play compact together and it's a good time. Now we follow the extension of the game. Maybe we fast forward a little bit more. Here I wasn't sure how Niski actually managed to die. I'm actually just rewatching it now. He W's forward and then he gets chased. Like he sees everyone on vision. Like right now he sees that the enemy is here, right? He has all the information, but he W's forward. He has full information here. And then I didn't understand here. Like, that's strange. Just strange. He had the information, you know? Like, the enemy has to really do something else to catch on to him. I think also maybe if he used the LeBlanc long better, he could have maybe, you know, actually blocked the Viego W and maybe survived even. Very nice turn, very good fundamentals here from XL. They don't break through the choke point. Good awareness of space. I like this. XL playing solid games, man. XL play in a way that, you know, they play good enough where you don't get away with bullshit. They don't get away with bullshit. This fight, I'm trying to remember what actually happened in this one. I just know that Mad Lions win. Here, once again, the same thing. Like, Niski W's over. Let it breathe. You know? Let it breathe. Like, Q, E, hit, poke. Use your spells. Rotate them. You know? Play. Let yourself breathe. Use the duration of your W to jump back. It always jumps back so quick, you know? I think he can let himself breathe here so much. Make the enemy act. Now Niski was committing more to the fight. And Niski is doing plenty of damage here. Gets the proc. Bounces of the static procs good. This was like the first fight sequence that I enjoyed from Niski. And Chasey also did some Houdini shit here to actually win. Like, this was so narrow that the game would have just been over. Like, this is some real ass Houdini shit. And Hilly also smirked by stop watching there the Viego ult and not giving the reset, and he walked out. Then Peach gets the reset, and then Chasey just dribbles him. And the equalizer didn't get enough value. So yeah, Mad Lions just outplayed in the fight. Vitality still has a chance. But it definitely got a lot slimmer after today's results. Today's results were terrible for them. Okay, let's jump forward. Here, I really liked how Limit is playing her in the right pocket. You know, he's playing in the right pocket, pressuring the right stuff. I think it's a very, very good look. You know, he's playing around the same like good position. It's very nice. And the Philios manages to secure the situation. I think here in a case where Karzi doesn't use R the way he does here, I think that Mad Lions can get a lot more here, because this rel is already dead. It's important that they actually manage to use their burst when they commit on Aphelios all the way with Nautilus ult and Nautilus Q. But Karzi has no R here, so he has no good reasonable way of looking to snipe Patrick here. So he is looking for the ult, and then they are black here. Peach is blocking the Q. I don't know if actually he wasn't blocking the Q. He should be blocking the Nautilus Q here, in my opinion. And there's no Karzi ult, there's no follow-up burst, and also additionally, like Nocturne ult was used quite poorly. Lilio just doesn't press R2. Very strange. Very strange. This, you know, the side note of all of this, right? Because a lot of focus was on Niski, you know, in the conversation. Maybe to some degree, maybe Niski is too scared of his team running it down. You know? Because, for example, here, it's like Niski is doing the right thing. He should pressure the top turret. Kaiser's in base, but for some reason, Mad Lions are so fucking deep. They are taking so many risks. So I understand to some degree how Niski is grouping more, you know? Grouping more than he should, right? Because Mad Lions doesn't seem to be the type of team to give him the space and the room to actually hit, you know? Because here Niski has the angle to actually pressure, right? But it doesn't happen. During the sequence too, I think that plain and simple, LeBlanc should be hitting top. Now the extension of this is that the major objectives on the map are spawning with, of course, the Nautilus being dead. Nautilus walking out of base. I like this isn't necessarily tied to Hilly, right? It's like Nocturne wants to do Gromp and Kesant is pushing the wave deep, you know? Anyone can die here, you know? Good hold of the choke point. It's like you can clearly see that XL is so aware of how important this choke is. Because they're never crossing it, but they're always defending it, you know? I feel like XL just hallmarks of a well-coached team. Very good. Here Nocturne ult was used, which is a massive cooldown. Rumble still has spells and so forth. Have to say as well, look at that. Rumble using base skin. Told you guys. Rumble using base skin. Once again, Limit playing in the right pocket. Here, Niski is unbelievably lucky because the plant just spawns for him to get mana back. Look at that, this is gonna pop here, boop. I think Niski probably should have played in the other pocket. It would have been better. Now Abadage also has rapid fire cannon, so this champion changes completely the mold of what he can and cannot do. Yes, Hourglass 2 and Hilly tries to queue in, but this is where, you know, unless Niski is going to 1v9 through poke, then they're just going to lose. Yeah, it's very true. I don't know why he doesn't hit the blast cone. Like, why doesn't he hit the blast cone? 100%. Agreed. I just don't like how Niski is accomplishing nothing by being in this position too. Like, he's completely isolated. And, really smurfing. Okay. XL just slammed Mad Lions. Gold star, honestly, for me is straight up Peach and Limit. I always say that jungle and support is the lifeblood and the identity of how a team plays macro, and today I think that Peach and Limit really outperformed their counterparts. I think Elioya looked super lackluster. Hilly as well didn't look like his usual self, you know. Elioya and Hilly-sang are two players that we hold in very high regard. I think that Kazi, you know, what can Kazi do in these games really? Like, he plays AD, you know, he can play the mechanical situations as good as he can, but what can we ask for more of Kazi in such a game? JC played Ornn when he probably shouldn't play Ornn, and he solo killed in the Kisante game, and he fucked up a W at Drake, but all in all, you know, Mad Lions in terms of their meta read, right? The Rel and the Rumble, giving that up twice. That's something that they really need to rethink. And then additionally, you know, just plain and simple, Peach and Limit, really well done. And I have to say, Patrick, ever since week 2, seems to be like a completely different player. He seems to be the player that was praised so much, and I'm very happy to see Patrick step up also in a playoff series, in a best of series. Bald head power up. And finally, I want to give a lot of props to XL's coaching staff. I know in a lot of cases you can't see the effect of coaching staff, but I think this format really lets you see the impact and the power of coaching when it comes to group dynamics and group decisions, because XL had a very strong read on the previous patch, and it seems like they're actually adding team concepts actively from week to week. And additionally, their read on 13-13 is fucking giga solid, really good. And I think a lot of things are lining up well for them, because Limit is a very strong engaged player, and Rumble of Odoamne is a classic. So it's very good to see. Very good to see. For me, I think Abadage had a quiet day, but the fact that he can have a quiet day and they still look a lot better than Mad Lions is a massive plus. So props to XL all around, really. Props to XL, really nice. SK versus FNATIC, let's jump to the next series. Here, you know, always when you go into a first game, you gain a lot of information. I feel like SK, in terms of the pieces that they have, looked super good. I was skeptical at first because I wanted to see first how Exakick is going to perform on the Kai'Sa and how Serge is going to perform on the Tristana, because even though I think Tristana and Kai'Sa are really OP, whoever is playing the champions really dictates how you evaluate those champions, you know? But if you look at them picking Kai'Sa, Maokai, Tristana, like, this is super S tier already in the 1, 2, 3, right? Enemy is dropping bot, and additionally, you're playing Poppy into Maokai, right? It's like playing Poppy into Maokai is straight up suicide. We explained this multiple times on the stream, where we say that just because the enemy has dashes doesn't mean that Poppy counters them. Poppy is good against champions that want to jump in and pressure forward, but Kai'Sa and Tristana don't need to jump in to get value out of their kits. Inherently, they are ranged champions. Why is Zeri picked here? I have no clue. I thought they're gonna play for Kog'Maw Braum. Zeri on this patch, how do you build her? I've seen cases where people go for crit builds because of how the E changes, but I think my issue with this Zeri is I feel like she is a better lane version of Vayne, but weaker later. That's what Zeri becomes. Very squishy, is relying on move speed, but any type of hard CC is going to break her down. The main issue here in my mind, right, if FNATIC look at this, right, if you give first pick Kai'Sa, at least your plan should be to play Xayah, Rakan, or Maokai and Tristana yourself. If you don't have this prepared, I think you're in trouble. And then you keep Tristana flexing, you can send it into Kai'Sa, and if the enemy has good an answer into Tristana, you match it, and then you play the game and play an AD top, right? I think this would have been a much better way. Let's say the enemy picks Cassio into your Tristana flex, and then you like pick a mage and mid, and then you have Maokai, Jax, Tristana bot, like you have a comp, you know? But this 1-2-3 is just way too strong. The only like kind of hope here for FNATIC is that they think that, wow, SK is just too bad to play these champs, right? And considering what SK has showed us in the regular split, if you think about what week 1 and 2, maybe you can have these type of considerations. But week 3 was a very powerful SK, and today's SK was super fucking good. Special props, once again, coming into this matchup, SK versus FNATIC, the biggest mismatch that people thought of was, of course, the bottom side. But today, Exakick and DOS really stepped up. They really smurfed. DOS had two very, very solid games in terms of performance, and Markoon actually found his stride. The way I see Markoon, I feel like when SK is playing a controlled game, I feel like Markoon really delivers. When they break apart, I think Markoon kind of tends to make mistakes, right? So this game, coming into this game, was a very big test. But we have to point out, Oscarilin got super gapped. Super gapped. I want to go back to some of my concerns that I had about FNATIC at the beginning of the split. I thought that they made massive upgrades, but my concern was, how is Oscarilin's performance going to develop? And additionally, how is this team going to deal with losses? Those were my two main concerns, right? And coming into 13-13, they clearly had a very poor read, very shit read. And some of the members of the SAC also mentioned that FNATIC's scrim performance has been very down in the last weeks. You know, that's what the SAC members mentioned, right? And these are things that you need to raise, because it seems like FNATIC is a very player-driven team, and when player-driven teams occur, usually these type of, like, if you don't have really strong leaders, then you're going to create a circumstance where, you know, patch changes aren't adjusted to properly, or losses aren't being dealt with well. So this is going to be a massive test for FNATIC, because this was a crushing defeat. They got annihilated. And Mad Lions is way more experienced in dealing with bullshit, because they've been dealing with their own bullshit the whole year, right? So maybe that experience is going to be a massive bonus or a massive negative, right? So we continue, right? They banned Renekton and Nautilus, and Rakan Milieu were the target bans here for SK. I thought that here, FNATIC is going to go Kog'Maw Braum. I thought they're going to play Kog'Maw Braum, and that's it, you know? I thought that was the move. But instead he goes Zeri. I don't get Zeri. I really don't get it. I was open-minded because maybe there's something that I've missed, but I think Zeri is just a fucking dead champ. Completely dead. And now gets picked into Jax. And I said in Champion Select, right? If you blind pick Jax and the enemy picks Gnar, that's a very happy proposition as the Jax player. You know, you're happy to be in that spot. Obviously, they need to pick Gnar because they have Kai'Sa Maokai already. They don't want to pick more AP like a Gragas, right? So I thought this was a good piece of information, but the main problem here is FNATIC. They pick Poppy when the enemy has an opening for Maokai. And I thought when they pick Poppy, I thought they were picking Xayah and then Rakan on 3 because Rel is out. Similar to how SK pieced together their draft here on red side. But the key difference here is that they banned Maokai on red. You see that? So they ban Maokai on red, enemy pick Kai'Sa, and they go Poppy, Xayah, deny enemy Rakan pick, because if enemy goes Rakan, you pick Nautilus, you have Poppy, Nautilus into Rakan, very hard game for Rakan to play, and then you pick Poppy, Xayah, Rakan on 3. Right? And this is a completely different 1, 2, 3. It's like SK's read is like SK Gaming and XL had a read that is very similar to what we've seen globally, besides maybe the TF. Everything else is something that we've seen globally on 13-13 and also 13-12. Okay, so looking at first game, SK versus FNATIC, let's just pull it up. I think that Certus had a good time in lane phase. It was a good look. I think, yeah, Oscarinin got completely smashed. Like, this solo kill that appeared in front of us in the game was absurd. I don't know what the fuck just happened with Oscarinin. Like, look at this. Look at this sequence here. I don't know what kind of crack Oscarinin is smoking, but this looked like one of those... Like, it looked like a very, very dry solo kill, man. Straight up terrible. Straight up terrible. Mad Lions have had bad scrims for 3 years, by the way. I'm telling you this much. For as long as I've as long as I've competed against Mad, they had terrible scrims. When they won back-to-back splits, they ran it down in scrims too. Terrible scrims. They found ways to improve together as a group outside of scrims. That's what they did well. Is this the collapse of FNATIC? Could be. Could be. SK had full control around the bottom side. You know, they've sure. Red side managed to secure a Drake. These angles that Relevant was finding, man. Fucking beautiful, by the way. Really, really nice. I don't like how in this replay, right, Zeri is so isolated from his team and he can't connect right and the Drake is being leashed. FNATIC look very, very uncoordinated. You know, a lot of the games that FNATIC won were very, very... They had massive leads. They had massive leads through bot. They had massive leads all around the map. They never had like these very controversial deep games in the regular split. And I think SK just kicked it into gear. You know, a lot of people are saying, yo, FNATIC, you know, EU is doomed, but SK is looking good. I think if you just look at SK in isolation and you remove FNATIC's performance from it, I think SK played fucking wonderful. Really, really good. I just want to note here, this Nash call is beautiful. A very key detail, right? When enemy AD is not showing on the mid wave, in 95% of the cases, he's in base. And they just pull the trigger. They just pull the trigger. I love this. This Nasher is very classy. Very classy Nasher. Zeri highlighting the fact that she's in base. She just finished 2 core. They slam a Nash start. Even though the enemy has info, they set up the Maokai roots. Braum doesn't block them and they get the smite off. Really classy. Very, very classy. I like this a lot. Just based off that one piece of information, Kai'Sa almost have 2-core finish. She is not, Zeri is not on mid wave, and she doesn't have 2-core finished. Very classy. I like it. I think the biggest thing that makes me happy about the SK series is that, like, Exa Kick and DOS, you know, we can remove that one split wonder tag on them, you know? That is like so good. Super good. Really great for Europe, man. These players were so exciting in winter, and the spring run was so disappointing. But now, you know, we're getting that magic back from SK. Super nice. Very nice. They managed to break a tier 2 with Nasher. They grouped through mid into collapse on bot on the right waves. Super nice. DOS with the gorgeous Alistar performance, you know. It was a cold performance. There's only one wave, a minion that passed through. They let it go, no problem. They posture for Drake. This mid wave doesn't matter too much. They're all in full position, like they're covering the right areas, right? They're covering the right areas. And here you see a massive comp gap, you know. Certus tried to get the static shift proc to break the ankles. Actually, it doesn't have static shift. I lied. He has Kraken. I think one thing to point out, right, in terms of SK's farm distribution and how they manage side with a side laner like Tristana is something that they should really improve. I think that in a lot of cases Tristana has had enough room to actually push all the way on side, but Certus prefers to simplify and actually like group, when I think with champions like these, you need to really try to squeeze more to make sure that you're ahead of the curve, because the XP and the gold is way too important. The thing is, Cadenza, is that every player is a liability until proven otherwise. And even then, in a lot of cases, they can still be, right? It's like Oscarine is playing his first year, and he has played spring and summer. You know, this is the type of player that you need to give a little bit of time, because he has shown like glimpses of greatness. So, you just need to kind of see how things played out. It's just that you can't really isolate Oscarine here, because in the end, I think that, you know, FNATIC's bot lane, they were clearly ineffective, very bad read on what to play. And additionally, like, Humanoid looked quite lifeless on his Azir. I think also the preparation of FNATIC was super bad. And it seems like if FNATIC are not getting massive early game leads, they are not good at playing more contested games. That's my takeaway from today. Not sure what the idea here was from FNATIC, you know. It's like SK are doing a very good job, you know, of making sure that they have the space to crash the side lanes. And then additionally, right, they are pressing Nash because they are forcing FNATIC to react. And when they are reacting, they're eating shit from Kaiser and Maokai. Very well executed poke composition. SK is super good. Yeah, SK is 5-0 versus FNATIC. FNATIC has never won a game this year against SK. No, this first game is definitely a draft diff, but also a very big execution diff. It's like draft diff, top diff, and that's it. I don't know what the fuck FNATIC is thinking by continuing this Nash. Like, this just looked like, please just let us end this game quick. That's what this Nash was, you know. But SK, in terms of their setup, right, they are putting the saplings, the W's are flying, super nice. I like that a lot. This is just terrible. Like, it doesn't matter, like, that Nara's bot. Like, do you think Nara was necessary here? FNATIC just wanted to lose in peace. Oh, my TFT rank. I'll just remove it. Okay. Now the game is just completely over. Yeah, this is a great Luden's Echo Kaiser game. I've been calling for Luden's Echo Kaiser since fucking day one, by the way. Like, the first game I saw of Kaiser, it's like, why the fuck is Ginzu here instead of Luden's? Like, he's just playing on your W's, why wouldn't you just play on your W's completely then? I think at this point FNATIC are very well aware of the game just being fucking over. I think I have such an issue with Zeri because, like, she's not tanky at all and the upside for her damage is just non-existent. Yeah, like, if the enemy has 3 tanks and you get to auto-attack a lot with Kaiser, then it's good, but that's majority of games are Luden's games. Majority of games. If the enemy has Keisante, Rel, and Sejuani, you can go Ginzu's. For sure, Freeze. Or should I say Nightshare? What about Leandri? Don't think it makes too much sense. It's like, in cases where Leandri's is good, then Ginzu's is good. So, we already talked ever briefly about FNATIC SK draft here. Ivan, Rel, LB, FNATIC blue side bans, SK ban Jace, Rumble, Maokai, and here this is an answer that I like, right? It's like you go Kaiser and then you have the Poppy with the Maokai out and then the Xayah, you line up for your Rakan and Poppy's gonna be good against the supports that have synergy with Kaiser, like the Nautilus or the Ali. And then you deny them of picking Rakan, so you get Rakan yourself, and Xayah Rakan is very strong into Kaiser. Enemy blind picks Azir, you drop mid and pick mid on 4, and to flex Poppy till 5 and then counter 5, right? This is a very good red side setup from SK, and this is something that we've seen from other teams too in other regions. I like this a lot. And an additional detail here, right, is that the Maokai ban in a lot of cases denies Tristana angles too. So this is what they are aware of, right? Here, for example, when you look at what Mad Lions do, they ban Maokai, Tristana, Xayah. This is very strange, right? When in reality they could have banned and targeted the red and the rumbles, and maybe you just have gotten away with more, you know? Here, the Gwen can definitely carry such a game here. Gwen is super strong here on 5. She's playing Gwen into Keisante, Sejuani, Nautilus. But in my mind, I thought this is not an easy Akali game. This game, FNATIC, they really need to play on Kaiser W's and they need to play on Azir, poke and hit. It's very important that Nautilus and Sejuani and Keisante never queue in, never go first. Let these champions do work and maintain your skills and abilities to make sure that Akali, Gwen and Xayah never get space. Because you need to deny the entry of Rakan, you need to deny the entry of Gwen. And you can definitely do so. But if you go first ever, you're going to lose. Because Gwen and Xayah, they are meat grinders. Meat grinders. And you got a lot of meat on you. Nautilus, Sejuani, Keisante. So even though these champions, a lot of players have tendencies to queue forward on these type of champions, it's not good here. Azir, Kaiser need to play front to back, and you need to leverage the fact that you have a range advantage. We continue. I thought that FNATIC had good chances here in the draft, but SK definitely had a much better red side draft than FNATIC did. I tell you that much. We look at the game. Let me take a sip of my beverage. Yeah. This is kind of strange how this all played out, right? Oscarini found the angle on Gwen, and he already had the information on Sejuani, so I think irrelevant, because Oscarini has no flash, he managed to burn it, he should just all in here. He should just all in here, and I think he can play it better. The reposition on the Q could also be a lot better, right? After the flash, I think he could have found lethal here on Oscarini. But also, I think generally speaking, just not giving the angle here is important because Sejuani is sniffing behind your back. But at least it's converted into a Rift Herald because the enemy team needed the base afterwards, so it's not the end of days, right? Berserker Greaves. Berserker Greaves on Azir looks so cursed. But I can understand it to some degree, as Leezer put it. Azir has one of the highest attack speed coefficients in the game. So he scales really well with attack speed. So you see this Berserker Greaves into Nashor's Tooth. Stack your Conqueror really, really fast. It's not too bad. I think it's okay. And with how things, like in the current conditions, things are looking really, really good for FNATIC. But I pointed this out in the game, that the best window for red side to fight is going to be this next Drake. Because Kai'Sa and Azir are in a massive power dip here. Massive power dip. In contrast to their counterparts, this is where Xayah is super strong, Akali is super strong in all-in fights. And I said this on stream so many times, this is the best chance for red side to fight in terms of their power. We're going to have a Xayah here that finished Navori Quickblades, Kraken Slayer. This Drake is not going to dictate much, but if you look at the items right now of Azir and Kai'Sa, their conditions are not good. Kai'Sa is very unique. You know, I think this signifies a big issue with a lot of teams. When they see a champion be popular and dominating, they only look at the statistic, but they don't look at all of the details. It is as if you walk into a garden, you smell the roses, you appreciate the roses for what they are, but a deeper appreciation would be to understand the nurture and the nature of the process behind the growth of the rose. And then, as you proceed, you need to actually analyze, like, what are the patterns? When is Kai'Sa strong? What's going on, right? Kai'Sa needs to actually hit key items. When she's in power dips like this, she cannot be trading autos, right? You want to create a circumstance where she can actively W and leverage the fact that her W spell is insanely strong. But a lot of the ways FNATIC play out these fights are not to the strengths of Azir and Kai'Sa. Elias, I'm very down to watch with you, but I just want to run down because I'm just doing this habit of going through a video. Do you want to jump in? We can jump in. I'll call you. I might call you. Hello, Elias. I can't hear you.
Hello.
Hello, Elias. How are you?
Oh wait, I have to mute your stream.
Okay. How are you, my man?
I was just screaming
Okay.
that.
I heard you guys are already active, up and going.
Yeah,
How you feeling? You guys bounce back?
I mean, we were always good in scrims, so I don't know.
Okay. But how's the mood? How's the energy like? The results today were kind of rough, but you guys are still hanging on, yeah?
Oh, you think so? I think it was fine. I mean, now FNATIC, Excel. No, FNATIC and Heretics just can't be top 3, and Excel can't be top 2.
So SK being top 6 is a negative, but that was like...
Yeah, but if FNATIC now doesn't make top 3, and Heretics doesn't make top 3, and Excel doesn't make top 2, we're in.
Yes. You guys have to be the biggest Mad Lions fans coming into next week. Mad Lions cracking out FNATIC would be a big plus. And then, I guess, if Excel do some crazy run where they beat SK and then beat T2 and BO5, then they are just the GOATs.
They deserve it. I agree. For sure.
For sure. I was just talking about this moment in the game. Like I said so many times on stream, like if I'm blue side here, I give this fight to fight another day, because I think everything that comes after this is going to be so much better than this moment in the game.
Yeah, sure. I think Kaiser on 2 items is mega OP. Right now she is not OP.
How do the upgrades work? Like, do you hit upgrade on Berserker Greaves, Nashor's Tooth, or Nashor's Tooth completed only with Shiv?
Depends what level you are, but you need some more attack speed, I think.
Okay.
I don't know exactly, because the game is a bit slower, right? So I don't know if he will be like level 12 when he has it. Maybe it's already E upgrade, W upgrade 100%. But I think he needs Berserker Greaves too.
Okay. Because I'm thinking here, like, imagine they set up a case where they are like setting up to push top instead, and that they have a good time.
I mean, yeah, but they also feel like they're winning the game, right? So they want to, like, I mean, yeah, it's a high risk, high reward play, I think.
Yeah. Also, it's like the way the way Razork and Trimbia and Oscarina are playing the fights. They are not really playing in a way where Kaiser and Azir can get value, because they're like pushing forward and really giving value to Gwen and Zaya instead. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they have to try to, like, exactly what Oscarina did. They have to try to just fish for Q with Cassandra, and he's the one that can't get one shot yet, I think, because he's pretty tanky.
Yeah.
I mean, they played this fight good, no? I mean, other fights, like Naut and Sejani, just kinda int it, or like just try to start a fight, but they just get one shot. But here, everyone was hitting when they went on Cassandra. The thing is now Noah went out and killed Rakan, which is fine. There's an argument to be made, he should try to focus the Akali too, right? And he doesn't need to do this.
Because in my mind here, right, it's just that they are just, like, by pushing forward like this, I like, at least the way I think it is that if they pull out the Drake and they hit it, like if Sejuani is standing here and they are standing like in a way where they are a wall, if the enemy pushes forward to hit them, this is where they trade back and kite back, and then they just reset the Drake for HP trade. But yeah, I think the moment they do this,
I think it's good better too, yeah. But I think just trying to go for Rakan is kind of cocky. Like, if you hit a Rakan with like this combo on Cassandra, the Rakan is like really AFK, right?
Yeah. Because it's like here, like Zaya and Gwen, this is like dream position for them. Like that everyone's lined up and like Nautilus queued in.
Yeah, that's kind of true. But at least the carries are hitting in this fight too. Yeah. I mean, the outcome was fine, right? What happens? It's like 2 for 1.
Because definitely here in this spot, I can see a world where if Nautilus doesn't queue and hold spell, and Seju also holds spell, and Kaiser and Azir are just hitting here, could have been also good. Because it's like Cassandra is so beefy here.
Yeah. Did Naut ulti? Oh, Naut got charmed, right? Because if Naut like insta-ulti Zaya here, she has to ulti too. It would be pretty huge. But I think he gets charmed. Okay, he hooks and gets grounded.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, this is just like pause here for a second. This is just like stage thing, right? Like, after, like, the Cassandra is still half HP and they just killed 2 for 3. And Kaiser has to wrap around, but he gets like excited, right? And now he just kind of like, if they just turn to Dragon here, they will get this Dragon, I think.
No, for sure. Agreed.
But the problem is also Cassandra is the whole gold lead. And Zaya is the enemy team's gold lead, so now it was pretty awkward.
Yep. Agreed.
I know, in my mind, it should be so hard to win with Akali against Azir on this patch, because Azir is like so strong when his lane is uninterrupted.
No, I thought blue side is very favored here. Like, even playing like Akali sure. into Kaiser as well, I think is also super fucking hard.
Yeah.
So did you scrim or did you see this game?
No, I scrimmed and then I watched the games.
Okay, okay.
And this was just good call, I think, by SK. Azir was still dead, right? And they just went straight to Nash.
It seems like it. Yeah, Azir is dead, and then the Kesant is showing on bot wave, I think, in this moment.
Oh, with no TP. Yeah, FNATIC was a bit out of it today, I think. They didn't really realize what the enemy team can do so much. Oh, he has TP though.
Has TP, but they also play Herald.
Yeah. I mean, it's very awkward. If the Nash is already like 3k when you're approaching against Poppy, it's too easy for her to just ult someone.
For sure, yeah. No, this was a very, very good call. Honestly, SK, I was kind of impressed with them today. I thought they played...
Yeah, I think they played
pretty
good.
fucking good, yeah.
Oh, can you go back there actually? I feel like Kai'Sa could have went on Akali. Or go back. Because he has like ulti and W, he hit W, so now he has True Sight on Akali. And now he has another W up, so he could like jump W.
Yeah, I see that. No, for sure.
Yeah. But I guess it's like caught up in the moment a bit.
I was pretty impressed with the bot lane today of SK. I didn't have high hopes of DOS at all, because I feel like the majority of spring and also a lot of the games in summer and regular, he was kind of running it down. But he played pretty fucking solid today.
Yeah, I like how they played.
I think also like Irrelevant, really monster gapped Oscar in today.
I don't know, Irrelevant is really underrated, I think. Like so many times he just completely takes over. Even in this game, like this is a 0-2 Gwen, but he will do a lot in team fights.
Yep. Also there was a situation where they tried to like kill Sertus on bot, I think with Akali. They burn Azir ult and then that fight.
Oh, he played it really well though.
Yeah. You mean the Akali?
Yeah, Akali outplayed like super hard. He dodged like the Azir ult in Shroud and then barely got out.
Trying to remember which moment it is. I think it happens
Oh,
a bit
like when
later.
they were trying to chase him. Yeah.
Is it now?
Yeah, it's now. I thought he would for sure need to flash here, but... Oh, not even Q flashed. But Kai'Sa doesn't have vision too. If like Kai'Sa RWs when he is knocked up, he probably one-shots him, but... Maybe... I think he didn't see him.
Yeah, this type of fight without like burning Nautilus ult and Azir ult is kind of hard. Because now it's like Gwen has such an easy time sending the Rakan in. There is no denial.
Yeah, that's true. I also think Marcoon did something really good here, like using this pocket of vision to knock out Cassandra. That was really fun.
Agreed, yeah. I didn't even think about that live, but the fucking Drake pit is shaped different on this fucking map.
Yeah, that was super smart. But even how Gwen is positioned already, like look where Gwen can put her W.
Yep.
Like she's also flanking from the Drake pit basically. It's pretty crazy. I thought this Noah actually had a really good flash here, because if he just flashes down, I think he will get caught. There was good presence of mind by him. Like if he just flashes around the wall, I think they will chase him. It was Irrelevant fail flashed actually. No. Did you already review the mat and?
Yep.
What do you think?
I think honestly today, in my mind, I feel like always when it comes to Mad, it's like when they are good, it's like Hilly and Alioya just really smurfing. And if they underperform, then this team just looks terrible. And I think currently they are heavily underperforming, both of them. Like today, Alioya Poppy was not it, and it's like Niski is like not strong enough of a player to like completely 1v9 a game on like the LB position that he had.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to 1v on LB.
I also can like understand, like there was a lot of cases where I would want him to push more and to hit, but I can also understand that he feels pulled to group when he shouldn't group, you know?
I mean, yeah, of course, we know that. That situation.
Like,
but also the on into Rumble on this match.
As like you have Orn Poppy as well. It's like Kesanta was open, like why don't they just play Kesanta? And then coming into second game, why on earth are they not like denying Rumble and Rel? It's like they just give that up again after that game. I was very surprised.
Limit actually played really well.
Limit was on point today with the Rel. Like, apparently he's been spamming the shit out of this champ, which makes sense. Like the best version of Limit is the guy who's fucking engaging. Like he was playing in the right pockets, and then like Odo Amne Rumble is a bit of a classic.
Yeah, Odo is really fucking good Rumble. His ults are so nutty.
For sure, he smurfed.
I mean, now the game is in a tough spot, I think.
Yeah, they can't really enter any space. Like, they are very, very killable. LDR finished, Void as well. It's like, but here as well, like how Irrelevant plays this is so fucking nice.
Beautiful. It's really, really good. They just swept that area.
Yep, how he like swings around here.
Now they see him.
Yep.
Backline can't hit at all.
Yep. Oh, FNATIC got annihilated.
Yeah, it's kind of sad as well. The patch is completely 180'd, I think. I think now top lane is like really, really strong. And bot lane is much different now. Because it's not like it's not Arden meta anymore, right? Or like range support.
Yeah. I was like, I understood it as this. I thought if you're on red side, like I think what, like every time I saw games, I saw this type of setup, right? Like people were setting up for Xayah Rakan on red to trade for Kai'Sa, and then teams on blue just ban Rakan to deny this to make the Kai'Sa stronger. And then the trade-off would always be that you are trading Kai'Sa for Rel because you want to deny the enemy combo of it, and they are going to pick melee together with Kai'Sa. And then either you are slamming Maokai Tristana yourself on red as the trade, or you don't. But today it's like FNATIC not wanting to play Maokai Tristana on this patch, I think is hard. Like if you don't do it.
Did they ban Maokai or was it open?
So
they banned. I think they lost game 1, so they didn't want to risk giving them it for the first pick, right?
So SK banned Maokai, right? On red. But this, like, it looks so much stronger because, like, Maokai out makes Poppy so much stronger, and then you pick Rakan on 3 because you know that.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Like the first game that they didn't pick Maokai. Yeah, I mean Poppy is like a scrim phenomenon. Phenomenon. How do you say it? Phenomenon?
Phenomenon?
Phenomenon? It's like
a phenomenon.
Phenomenon. Phenomenon? Phenomenon? You said?
Phenomenon.
Phenomenon.
Phenomenal. Phenomenon.
Phenomenal. It's a good name actually.
Phenomenon. Phenomenon.
Phenomenon.
Alright.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't understand the Zeri. I thought they're gonna go cook my Brom here, by the way.
I gave them some fake data and scrims, I think. The Zeri was maybe, I think. They won some games, as we said, so.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Poppy's just kinda OP in scrims because there's 30 kills at 20 minutes minimum. And Poppy's kinda strong when games are like this, but when people are actually farming.
Because, like, inherently, just playing Poppy into Maokai just seems like such a grief. Like how can you do anything?
Yeah, Poppy just makes games unplayable in scrims because everything is super volatile and Poppy's just OP with that, right?
Yeah.
Like Poppy sees the enemy jungle, everyone is trading, and then she just goes and dives somewhere.
Yeah.
But FNATIC was so good in regular season with Poppy ultis and like objectives and forcing good number fights through Poppy ult, but in this game it really didn't happen, sadly.
I think a lot of games as well, like they managed to actually like squeeze a lot of leads. I think like in regular season, I think Razog was really good at like finding like really good gang angles. Like it like stayed longer, dodged wards well, broke lane matchups, and like they had like leads coming into mid game almost every time. But these games were like a little bit more stiffer, and I think when melee supports are being played, I feel like the lane matchups both become a little bit more systematic rather than swinging, you know? If you know what I mean. Because I imagine, like, based off of what you said, the top is more important. I think it's just the fact that, like, bot lane is a lot more opened up in the fact that, like, a lot of the matchups are more, like, stale. Like, if you're playing Kai'Sa Alistar into, like, Rel, Xayah, for example, it's like, sure, you can set up ganks and so forth, but it's kind of ping-pong, I can imagine, in terms of how the waves go. It's not like you trade down to 1 HP, like the range matchups, and it's, like, super, super volatile. You deny one wave, and you're gonna bleed for the whole game, like the range matchups.
Yeah, range matchups are so much. I mean, it's exactly what you said. Yeah.
Okay. I thought for sure Kog'Maw Braum was gonna come, because at least when I see Kai'Sa, I'm thinking, oh, Kog'Maw against Kai'Sa, it is something you can squeeze maybe. What's your take on Aphelios after 13-13? Do you like it seems like it went from OP to just playable, but today in the game that it was played, it seemed perfectly strong still.
It's playable. I don't think it's OP, but it's playable. I mean, Aphelios is not so great with champs that want to all in. I mean, he's fine, but it's nothing special, right? Like,
okay.
And your team needs to play around Aphelios because he's not like Kai'Sa or Xayah who can do stuff on its own in a team fight. He's fine, I think.
Okay.
I think win rate wise, Xayah is doing the best against Kai'Sa. Like, it's basically 50-50. And you can check actually the stats. I mean, it's not like that important because it depends how the teams play, of course, but Xayah's not even shown. I think it's like basically 50-50. Wait, was she beating Aphelios? I think go 13 point. Yeah, like Xayah's like basically 50-50, right?
Yeah, and then it's beating Aphelios.
Yeah.
I'll check 13-13, which is a pretty small sample size.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, now Kai'Sa requires like your team to play a bit different, I think. I think Kai'Sa looked very weak today.
Yeah, agreed.
In all the games.
Except like the SK game 1, I think they played around it super well. Like how they just...
Oh yeah.
How they like score, like how they squeezed around Nash. Like they just like put saplings, made the enemy face check to check Nash, backed off, threw Kai'Sa W. Eventually the enemy just like died straight up. Like maybe I can find the fucking moment. This was pretty damn good.
But Kai'Sa enjoys a very slow game.
Like here, I don't know what the fuck. FNATIC was just like squeezing to hit Nash.
No, I mean, I think FNATIC was a bit tilted.
This was craziness.
or not tilted, like they were like trying too hard to make like a comeback instead of trying slowly.
Yeah.
But I do think they're getting outscaled kind of at this point.
Yeah, this seemed to me like a massive like draft gap. Crazy draft gap.
Yeah.
I
mean, Jax in like practice seems very, very okay. But honestly, how the laning pace went, I mean, Jax got like a good early lead and stuff, but they never got to dive now with Poppy when he's like mini form, because that's when he's really easy to kill.
Yeah.
And then Nas solo killed as well, which was really crazy.
Yeah, that was messy for sure. Like Naro also solo killed Azir on side. Like Naro got so accelerated, and I feel like Jax needs to be strong enough in the game to be able to farm and like farm with very limited information and push past like neutral waves, so he gets to the point where he hits 3-core. That's like how I see every like Jax game, where the Jax that like the bin Jaxes and the breeds, it's like they get to the point where they have Divine, Black Cleaver, Zhonya's, and in most cases they are like good enough to squeeze leads like in isolated 1v1, and then they pick it in spots where the enemy jungle is too weak to actually pressure them off neutral waves, and then they just keep farming, and then they get 3 core, and then all of a sudden, like in Zhonya's hourglass, the fucking E comes off cooldown again, and it just becomes a pain to deal with. But with how things are being played out, it's like, for example, you did this very good, Elias. It's like when we play Lucian Army, we look at what teams did with Lucian Army and how they play with Lucian Army. We didn't look, oh, Lucian Army is doing well, let's look in Lucian Army, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we went, don't lock in Lucian Army.
Like,
most of it.
No,
And
I mean last year. Last year. Sorry.
No, of course. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I mean, we were struggling with Lucian Army, even though teams were doing well, and then we thought about maybe we should watch like how our team's actually playing with Lucian Army.
Yeah.
And it was a big change for us for the playoffs in that when we went to Worlds. Yeah.
Because I remember we were watching like V5 when they play Lucian Army. It's like they just made sure they have vision around mid, and then they send jungle out to side, and the jungle is just there to cover vision. And then as long as you had, and then we just created scenarios where you could just dash on cooldown, and then you had 2k first strike every game, and then you see like the other Lucian Army teams, they like figure out how to lane, but they never figured out how to convert games.
Yeah.
Which is so common. It's like people look at champs, oh, this is performing well, this is being first picked in China, but they don't like look, oh, what are they picking around it, how they're playing it out, what is the details of it. It's like what makes it objectively strong, you know?
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay. I think this game... Did anything else happen this game? Just do these recaps at the end of the day always.
Yeah, I think game 1 was interesting, because I think they had like a way to set up the Jax to succeed, but I think Markun's pathing was so fucking good in the first game.
I need to check it. I'm curious now.
Because I think he had like bot getting pushed in, mid getting pushed in, top getting pushed in. Like go back more. Like where did he start? Did he do Raptors into top side?
Yeah.
Because he was even spotted here, right? So Poppy do 2 camps and invade, and top is trading. I think this top lane matchup, at least from what I know, is like the Na is really scared to get Dove early game when he plays with something like Poppy Jax. Because when he's mini Na gets just Dove easily. But here Markun did like these 2 camps, right? So Russell can't fuck with him at blue. Like he did Raptors, blue Grump, and now Wolves is a bit more awkward to invade because you kind of need to go really deep. And now Na is like completely fine already, right? Like Na is never going to go.
I don't know what happens there as Jax like bases and walks back. I don't know if Nara's like strong enough to crash the wave. Because
I think Nara was playing well, like he was trying to chunk him and then TP back. Like this is how the solo kill ended up happening. Like Jax, oh no, it comes later actually.
Yeah, it comes later. But it looks weird to me. I don't know if I don't see how big the wave is. But in my mind, I would imagine that Jax should just like be hitting the wave, stacking his passive, and then just queuing and Eing and resetting the minion aggro after E onto the bush. So he's already losing HP.
Yeah. Oh, that was good spacing. I mean, there was just never a situation where the Na was actually in danger to get Dove.
Because here he gets to crash his wave too. Like the fact that he doesn't get Dove and he gets to crash his wave really lets him breathe.
Yeah, this will snowball really heavily. Because at some point Jax will have to TP back, I think, and Na will stay and then chunk him.
And even this is so rough for Jax. Because this is like the opposite. Like my man wants to crash and he's getting fucked.
Oh yeah, I didn't even remember that. I mean, they lose Dragon for it. I'm not sure if... Probably if you're spot side, they would lose Dragon anyways, because mid is also getting pushed. And they don't really want to fight at this point, I think.
Yep. I usually round off these videos with a little prediction about tomorrow. What's your take on Team Heretics to BDS, brother?
I think BDS is gonna do well.
Okay.
But it can go either way. I think all the teams except G2 are really close right now.
Okay. It's like I feel like BDS, the entire summer split. I feel like everyone is performing similarly except Shio. He just doesn't seem to be like the same person anymore. Like he was like in summer so insanely inconsistent, and I think he was the opposite. Like I think there was argument for him being like the best performing jungler last split. Like
I think he was with second. I guess Alioya was playing insane.
yeah, like Alioya, they ramped up big time in the series that he played, but. Like Shio was so good at securing lanes and just making sure he was bot at the right time, building leads together with his bot, like on bounces, or making sure they can push out. They were so sharp at this, and then like with whatever lead they accumulated bot, they managed to like secure games. But like that's where I see where Team Erratics can maybe have an advantage if like Jankos is just a lot sharper than Shio currently is, and if Shio is performing well, I imagine BDS is better.
Yeah, I guess depends on the form, yeah.
Adam is such a wild card, but one thing that he does well is he's good against players that are worse than him. Like he's a squeezer. Like, him against Evi, I think is an edge for them. Like he's such a fucking wild card. If he's playing against like top lanes that are better than him, it can become like a liability when it becomes more like how you manage your wave and how the waves are stacking against you, get dove and so forth. But against Evi, I think he can squeeze a lot.
Yeah, I think wildcard is the right term for it. Yeah, definitely can make a big impact.
TP's mid with Malphite level 5.
Yeah, and that's the wrong side of the coin.
No, I lean towards Team Heretics because I just don't believe that she was going to make such a shape up, but like 2 weeks can change so much, so it's always with a new patch and so forth. I'm also curious, I feel like Mercer, I don't have like a high opinion of Mercer, and I think a lot of the wins that Team Heretics got, I think it was just playing Milio straight up. So I don't know what kind of Mercer we will see.
Yeah. I mean, who do you think is gonna perform better on Heretics? You think Adam is probably gonna play better than RV? Bot lane is probably favored for BDS too, if you think Mercer is like that, right?
I feel like Jankos is the guy for Team Heretics.
He definitely is, yeah.
It's like
he's very good.
He's been creating leads for this team the whole year, but like the positions these guys have been in, I've been absolutely nutty with what Jankos has managed to do with what little he's had. And I feel like Veteo and Flacket are at least better at like making their impact known if they have advantages in comparison to like the previous splits.
Yeah, I think it's really close actually. If I think about the players, I'm not sure.
If you have to pick one,
I would still go with BDS.
Okay,
but it's really close.
G2 versus Koi. I'm at G2. I think G2 has been the best team in Europe the whole year.
Yeah.
I like them.
I mean, yeah, they practice very hard, and I think they should take it for sure.
I get such a good feeling from like all of the nuggets of information I see out of G2. I get such a good feeling for how they've set everything up, you know? There seems to be such a like buy-in. They come off of MSI, they recognize what they're weak at, they restructure. Like the other side of it is like Mad Lions. It's like they went to MSI, they got fucked, and then they come back, and it's like they're always like scrapping to just survive, you know? It's such a like different foundation for what the teams are, you know?
Yeah, I think G2 is expecting to be the best and working like they are the best, you know? And other teams, if they start doing well, then maybe like people are like happy that they're doing well, but G2 has higher standards, it seems.
Yep. I feel like we had a conversation about Larson, but that like the last week 3, Larson completely smurfed. Like Larson played so insanely well week 3. Like he really stepped up. Oh shit.
No, Larson is really good.
Yeah. He was like performing on the right champs. He had like a great Nico game, LB against you guys, and I think there was a third game too, I don't remember too much. But I think G2 should have this one. But they lost against Koi once in the BO3 in winter.
And Koi has strong players, but yeah, I think G2 is just tough. But other teams, I think Koi has good chances.
Yeah. I like Malrang. Everyone in the SAC hates Malrang. I like Malrang.
Yeah, I like him too.
He's a cleaner. He gets his hands dirty.
He gets his hands super dirty. Too dirty.
The dirtiest. Sometimes he's drowning in mud. And then...
But he doesn't do it in a stupid way. I mean, sometimes the state that the game gets into because of him looks like he must be trolling, but I think he's just really smart how he plays.
Yeah. I remember also, like, for the longest time, I remember when we scrimmed against Koi, like, they were, like, trying to play, like, Diana, and he was trying to farm, and, like, his laners just couldn't not die to ganks. So, like, maybe this was, like, some conclusion that he did mentally, because I don't remember him being this player when he played in Korea. He wasn't that player. That would be, like, the complete psychopath.
It's an EU playstyle for sure.
I think it's just... Like, he got to the point in Europe where, wow, I will just gank and we will win.
Yeah,
they literally won the split like that.
For the team is pretty good.
There's some people in the chat are pointing out, like Caps played Nico into Azir, and I think Caps is, like, one of the only Nikos on the server that showed how strong this champion actually is. Because this champion lane phase on 13-11 was some of the most absurd shit you could ever have in the game. And playing Azir into Nico is insanely hard on that patch.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, G2 win against Koi. You're the same for sure. All right, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching, everyone on YouTube. Thank you, Elias, for joining me. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome.
It's always good to hear your voice. I wanted to say I'll catch you next week in the studio, but there's such a weird situation that you're in the race. We have to wait, like a sleeping dragon.
Yeah.
You guys are the monks that you are putting your head down and you are just putting in the work.
I hope so.
Yep. I hope everything plays out. Like, it looks very, very reasonable. I'm happy that you guys are already practicing. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, so far we could only scrim BDS and FNATIC.
Okay.
But it's not bad.
Yeah, I don't want to dig too much into details, but I guess you guys are also talking about, like, what you want to do, what you want to achieve. I'm sure there's, like, a lot of work that can be done outside of scrimming too, yeah?
Definitely, always.
I think that's what made, like, Mad Lion so unique, because they haven't gotten shit out of scrims for the last 3 years, as far as I know, and that they just found ways to improve together outside of scrims, which brings a lot of perspective to things, you know.
Some hilly magic.
Yeah, just have to sit down and learn concepts together from other teams and apply it. I think teams are well off to sit down and do so more.
Okay. I mean, speaking from go
ahead.
No, I speak from experience. EU scrims are, like, not close to competitive at all. It's just I don't remember last time I had a game where it was less than 30 kills or 20 minutes. Maybe it's just us, but
it's weird because there needs to be some kind of, like, education process for what you want to get out of scrims, because I think it's so easy to do things in a certain way because everything that happens within the game reinforces that type of play. I don't know how it is to scrim against G2, but do you feel like if you play against them that they are doing things with a certain intention, or is it similar like everybody else?
It's similar, they're just better mechanically.
Okay.
I mean, there is intention behind it, it's just the game is usually not decided on, like, like let's say like you took a bad trade and you have the choice to base or to like try to push it out.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Take like a bad fight. I think most scrim games is that people will for sure try to like flip it or like try to outplay it or try to push it anyways and salvage the situation instantly instead of not dying and trying to keep the game somewhat not volatile. So that's just the biggest difference, I think.
Okay. What's your plan now? Solo queue?
Nah, I'm in
Some
jump
rest? Okay. Okay, Elias. Greet your family, yeah? Good to hear from
Yeah,
you.
you too.
You're
Good
always
to hear from
welcome. You're always welcome. I stream all the time. You're always welcome. It's always fun to talk to you about the game.
Yeah.
I wish you all
Okay.
the best. Best of
See ya,
luck, brother.
Yamato.
Take care. Have a
Bye
good
bye.
night. Elias is the man.